You're already rich in another reality. Right now, same you, different choices. That version isn't luckier or smarter. They just picked a different universe. What if you could switch? What if wealth isn't earned, it's selected? Why do some people stumble into money repeatedly? What pattern are they seeing that you're not? 3 questions will collapse your current reality. Which you are you actually being? What frequency is your bank account tuned to? Why does your wallet always match your identity? There's a neural signature millionaires share. You'll feel it soon. One 90-second evening ritual shifted $847,000 into a man's life in 11 months. You'll learn it. The prosperity lock hidden in your morning thoughts. And the 4-word phrase that opens it. This isn't manifestation, it's quantum selection. And you're about to choose differently. Let me tell you what's actually happening right now. In this exact moment. You think you're listening to an audiobook about making money. You think you're the same person who pressed play. You think your financial situation is a fixed reality that you need to slowly, painfully change through effort and strategy and luck. Every single one of those thoughts is wrong. Not metaphorically wrong. Literally, factually, scientifically wrong. And that wrongness is the only thing standing between you and wealth. Your current money reality isn't fixed. It's just one channel you're tuned to, like a radio stuck on a static-filled station, playing the same broke song on repeat. You've been listening so long you think it's the only station that exists. You think everyone hears this same static. You think this is just how money works. Scarcity, struggle, never enough, always falling short. That endless grinding sensation that you're running on a treadmill that speeds up every time you almost catch your breath. But here's what actually matters. Right now, in this moment, there's a version of you that isn't struggling. Same name, same history, same face in the mirror, but completely different money reality. That version of you doesn't wonder if they can afford things. They don't check their bank account with that familiar clench of anxiety. They don't make decisions based on what's cheapest. They don't carry that low-grade hum of financial fear that colors everything. That version exists right now. Not in some distant future you have to earn your way toward. Not as a fantasy or a goal. As an actual present tense reality happening simultaneously with this one. And the only difference between you and them, the only variable that creates these 2 completely different financial experiences, is the choice of which reality to occupy. They chose wealth. You chose struggle. Neither of you did it consciously. Neither of you knew you were choosing. But you've both been choosing, moment by moment, thought by thought, for years. The multiverse isn't science fiction. It's physics. Every decision point splits reality. Every choice you make creates a branch where you made the other choice. Every single time you decided something about money, yourself, your worth, your capability, you created a parallel timeline. And some version of you took every possible path. One version took the job. Another version quit. One version invested. Another spent it. One version believed they deserved wealth. Another believed they didn't. All of these versions exist. All of them are real. All of them are you. And here's the part that changes everything. You're not stuck in the timeline you're currently experiencing. You think you are because that's what it feels like. It feels solid, unchangeable. Like you're living with the consequences of past decisions. And the only way forward is through decades of different decisions that slowly, incrementally improve things. But that's not how reality works. That's just the story your current frequency tells you to keep you locked in place. Reality is more fluid than you've been taught, more responsive, more immediate. You're not trapped in a linear progression from broke to comfortable to wealthy. You're selecting which version of yourself to be, moment by moment. And your bank account is just reflecting back whichever version you're currently choosing. When you choose the struggling version, you get struggling results. When you choose the wealthy version, you get wealthy results. It's not magic. It's not manifestation. It's quantum selection. You're always selecting. You've just been unconsciously selecting poverty. Think about this for a moment. Every person you know who has money, who has always seemed to have money, who has that easy relationship with wealth where it just flows to them naturally. What are they actually doing differently? Not the surface actions, not the job or the business or the investments. Those are effects, not causes. What are they doing differently in their nervous system? In their assumptions? In the reality they're occupying moment to moment. They expect money, not in a desperate, fingers crossed, I hope this works way. In a calm, of course, that's just how it is way. They expect it the way you expect gravity to work when you drop something. They expect it the way you expect the sun to come up. They're not trying to attract it or manifest it or earn it. They're just occupying the frequency where money is normal, where it's constant, where it's always available. And because they're on that frequency, that's the reality they experience. You've been on a different frequency, the frequency of not enough, of almost, of maybe someday, of if I just work harder, of I can't afford that, of I'm not that kind of person. Every thought you think about money is a vote for which reality you're choosing. Every word you speak about your finances is a declaration of which timeline you're locking yourself into. Every feeling you feel when you look at your bank account is a frequency broadcast that says, yes, more of this. This is who I am. This is my reality. And the universe doesn't argue. It doesn't judge. It doesn't decide you deserve poverty, or that you need to learn lessons, or that you have to earn your way out. It just reflects. It shows you the reality that matches your frequency. You broadcast broke, you experience broke. You broadcast wealthy, you experience wealthy. Right now you're broadcasting broke, and you've been doing it so consistently, so constantly, that broke feels like the only reality. But it's not. It's just the only one you've been tuned to. The wealthy version of you exists. Right now, making decisions, living their life, experiencing ease around money. And the distance between you and them isn't time. It's not 10 years of hard work. It's not a million right decisions. It's a choice. One choice. The choice to stop being this version and start being that version. To stop occupying this frequency and start occupying that one. To stop voting for poverty and start voting for wealth. That's it. That's the whole game. But here's why you haven't made that choice yet. You don't believe you can. You think your current reality is the truth and that other reality is a fantasy. You think you're being realistic by accepting limitation, and you'd be delusional to claim abundance before it shows up in your bank account. You think the evidence has to come first, and then you'll believe. Then you'll relax. Then you'll feel wealthy. You've got it exactly backward. The reality you're experiencing right now is the lagging indicator of the frequency you were broadcasting weeks or months ago. What's in your bank account today is the result of who you were being back then. Which means, if you change your frequency today, your bank account will change to match it. Not instantly. There's a lag, but inevitably, automatically, because that's how this works. Frequency first, evidence second, always, without exception. So the question isn't whether you can afford to believe you're wealthy before the money shows up. The question is whether you can afford not to. Because every day you wait for the evidence to give you permission to feel wealthy is another day you're broadcasting poverty. Another day you're choosing the broke timeline. Another day the wealthy version of you is living their life without you. And the gap keeps widening. You came here because something in you knows this already. Something in you recognized the truth in those opening words. You're already rich in another reality. That wasn't poetry. That was information. And some part of you, the part that pressed play, the part that's listening right now, that part knows. It knows there's another way. It knows this struggle isn't mandatory. It knows you're capable of wealth. It just doesn't know how to get there. And that's what we're here to discover together. Not how to earn wealth, not how to attract it, how to choose it, how to select the reality where you're already rich, how to become the version of you that already has everything you want. This is going to require something from you that might feel uncomfortable at first. It's going to require you to stop being loyal to your current reality. You've been so committed to what is, so dedicated to being realistic, so determined to acknowledge your limitations that you've made poverty your identity. You've made struggle your story. You've made scarcity your companion. And I know you didn't do this on purpose. I know it feels like you're just being honest about your situation. But honesty about poverty is still allegiance to it. And you can't leave a reality you're pledging loyalty to every single day. So we're going to break some agreements you didn't know you made. We're going to identify the invisible contracts with lack that you've been signing in your language, your thoughts, your expectations, your fears. We're going to find every place where you're unconsciously choosing poverty. And then we're going to make different choices. Not forced. And when you genuinely occupy that frequency, when you genuinely become that self, your external reality has no choice but to reflect it back. This isn't belief or hope or wishful thinking. This is how reality construction works. You're always creating your experience through the frequency you're broadcasting. Always. Right now. In this moment. The question is whether you're doing it consciously or unconsciously. Whether you're choosing your frequency or just running on default programming from your childhood, your culture, your past experiences, your fears. Most people never question their money frequency. They inherit it. They absorb it from their parents, their community, their early experiences with lack or abundance. They develop a relationship with money before they're old enough to choose it consciously. And then they spend the rest of their lives experiencing the reality that relationship creates, never realizing they're not stuck with it, never realizing it's just one possibility among infinite possibilities, never realizing they could choose a different frequency and experience a completely different financial reality. You're not most people. You're here. You're listening. Some part of you is ready to choose differently. That part of you, the part that knows you're meant for more, the part that's exhausted by struggle, the part that recognizes the truth when it hears it, that part is about to take over. And the version of you that's been running the show, the one that believes in limitation and scarcity and not enough, that version is about to step aside, not through force, through recognition, through the simple, profound realization that poverty is a choice you've been making, and you can unmake it. What would change for you if you really believed that? Not surface belief, not intellectual agreement, deep, cellular, undeniable knowing. If you knew, the way you know your own name, that you're already rich in another reality and all you have to do is choose to be that version, what would you do differently today? Right now, this moment, would you still feel that familiar anxiety about money? Would you still make decisions from scarcity? Would you still speak the same language about your finances? Would you still carry yourself the same way? Or would something shift? Would you feel a little lighter, a little more spacious? Would you make that decision you've been putting off? Would you speak more confidently? Would you move through your day like someone who has resources? Like someone who expects things to work out? Like someone who knows money is always available? That's the frequency we're tuning to. That's the reality we're selecting. That's the version of you we're choosing to be. Not someday. Not after you make more money. Not when you finally figure it all out. Now. Today. This moment. Starting right here. Take a breath with me. Wherever you are, whatever you're doing, just take one full breath. In through your nose. Fill your lungs completely. Hold it for a moment at the top. And now release it slowly through your mouth. Let it all go as you breathe out. Let out any tension you're carrying about money, any fear, any anxiety, any resistance to what you're hearing. Just breathe it out. You don't have to figure out how this works. You don't have to understand the mechanism. You just have to be willing. Willing to consider that everything you thought was fixed might actually be flexible, that everything you thought was permanent might actually be changeable, that the reality you're experiencing might not be the only reality available. Breathe that willingness in, and breathe out any attachment to struggle as your identity. One more breath. In, possibility. Out, limitation. Good. Stay with me. Now let's talk about why your current money reality has felt so unchangeable. It's not because poverty is your destiny. It's not because you're cursed or unlucky or missing some special talent for making money. It's because you've been signing contracts with lack every single day without realizing it. Invisible agreements that lock you into the broke timeline. And until you identify these contracts and consciously revoke them, you'll keep experiencing the same financial reality no matter what you do on the surface. These contracts show up everywhere. In your language, in your beliefs, in your family stories, in your identity. Let me give you an example. Maybe you've said something like, "I'm just not good with money." Seems harmless, right? Just an honest assessment of your skills. But listen to what you're actually saying. You're declaring an identity. You're making a statement about who you are at a fundamental level. And the universe hears that declaration and says, okay, you're someone who's not good with money. Here's a reality that matches that. Here's another opportunity to be not good with money. Here's another situation that confirms that identity. And you experience it and you say, see, I told you, I'm just not good with money. And the loop continues. Or maybe you've heard yourself say, money doesn't grow on trees. Or we can't afford that. Or I'm broke. Or rich people are greedy. Or I'll never get ahead. Or it's always something. Every single one of these phrases is a contract with poverty. Every single one is a vote for the broke timeline. Every single one is you telling the universe which reality you want to experience. And the universe is listening. It's always listening. and it's always delivering exactly what you're broadcasting. But here's what makes this even more insidious. These contracts aren't just in your conscious language. They're in your unconscious agreements, the ones you inherited from your family, the ones you absorbed from your culture, the ones you made with yourself during painful experiences with money. Let me tell you about someone I know. Let's call her Sarah. Sarah grew up in a house where money was always tight. Her parents fought about it constantly. She remembers lying in bed at night, hearing the tension in their voices, feeling the fear in her chest. And somewhere in those formative years, she made an unconscious agreement. She decided that money causes pain, that having financial needs creates conflict, that the safest thing to do is not need much, not want much, not expect much. She didn't choose this consciously. She didn't sit down and decide to limit herself. It was a survival mechanism, a way to feel safe in an environment where money felt dangerous. But that agreement didn't disappear when she grew up. It followed her, and for 20 years she unconsciously kept it. She worked hard, she was smart, she was talented, but somehow she never made much money. Not because she wasn't capable, because she was honoring that old agreement. Because making more money would violate the contract she made as a child. The contract that said staying small keeps you safe. Sarah came to me frustrated. She couldn't understand why nothing was working. She'd read the books, she'd done the affirmations, she'd tried everything, and nothing changed. So we did an excavation. We looked at her early experiences with money. And when we found that old agreement, that unconscious contract with limitation, everything clicked. She saw it. She felt it. She recognized how it had been running her entire financial life. And then, with full awareness, she revoked it. She said out loud, "I'm not that scared child anymore. Money doesn't cause pain in my life. I'm safe to have more. I'm safe to want more. I'm safe to receive more. That agreement is over. I'm choosing a new reality." Within 6 months, her income doubled. Not through some magical event, through a series of natural opportunities that suddenly became visible to her. A promotion she would have declined before. A side project she would have talked herself out of. A rate increase she would have been too scared to request. All of it became possible because she was no longer bound by that old contract. She was free to choose wealth. And so she did. What contracts are you carrying? What agreements did you make with poverty that you don't even remember making? What did you decide about money when you were young and scared and just trying to make sense of a confusing world? What did your family teach you about wealth? Not through their words, but through their fears, their limitations, their unspoken rules. What did you absorb from a culture that tells you wanting more is greedy, that rich people are corrupt, that struggling is noble, that suffering is holy? These agreements are invisible until you look for them. But once you see them, you can't unsee them. And once you can't unsee them, you can choose differently. You can revoke them. You can say, "That's not true anymore. That was a choice I made based on limited information, and I'm making a different choice now. I'm choosing to believe money is safe. I'm choosing to believe I'm worthy of wealth. I'm choosing to believe abundance is my natural state. I'm choosing to occupy the reality where I'm already rich." But here's the thing about breaking these contracts. Your nervous system is going to resist, because your nervous system doesn't care about wealth. It cares about survival. And survival means familiarity. Survival means the known. Survival means the devil you know, even if the devil you know is poverty. Even if the devil you know is exhausting and painful and limiting. It's familiar, and familiar feels safe even when it's not actually safe at all. So when you start choosing wealth, when you start occupying that frequency, your nervous system is going to sound alarms. It's going to tell you this is dangerous. It's going to tell you you're being unrealistic. It's going to tell you you're setting yourself up for disappointment. It's going to tell you to go back to what you know. Go back to struggle. Go back to limitation. Go back to the broke timeline where at least you know what to expect. And this is where you have to understand what's happening when this resistance shows up. It's not evidence that you're doing something wrong. It's evidence that you're doing something different. And different always triggers the survival system. Always. Your job is not to avoid the resistance. Your job is to recognize it, acknowledge it, and keep choosing the new reality anyway. To say to your nervous system, I know this feels unfamiliar. I know you're scared, but we're safe. We're choosing wealth now. Come with me. Let's do something together right now. I want you to feel into your body for a moment. Notice where you carry stress about money. Is it in your chest, your stomach, your shoulders, your jaw? Just notice without trying to change it. That physical sensation, that tension, that's your scarcity frequency. That's what broadcasting broke feels like in your body. Feel it. Don't push it away. Just be with it. Breathe into it. And now, imagine what it would feel like if money wasn't a problem. If your bank account was full. If you had complete financial freedom. What would change in your body? Would your chest open? Would your shoulders drop? Would your breath get deeper? Find that feeling, even if it's subtle, even if it's just imagination right now. Find the physical sensation of wealth in your body. That's your abundance frequency. That's what broadcasting rich feels like. Stay with that feeling for a few breaths. Let it settle into your cells. This is available to you anytime. This is a choice you can make moment by moment. To shift from scarcity frequency to abundance frequency in your body. The more you practice this, the more natural it becomes. The more natural it becomes, the more your external reality shifts to match. Take one more deep breath and come back to my voice. Your current money reality is just feedback. It's showing you which frequency you've been on. That's all. It's not a judgment. It's not a life sentence. It's just information. And now that you have that information, you can make a different choice. You can tune to a different frequency. You can select a different reality, but you have to understand the mechanics of how this works, or you'll keep trying to change the reflection instead of changing what you're broadcasting. Think of it this way. Your consciousness is a transmitter. Every thought, every feeling, every belief, every word, every action is sending out a signal, and the universe is a receiver. It picks up your signal and reflects back an experience that matches it. When you think thoughts of lack, when you feel feelings of scarcity, when you speak words of limitation, you're transmitting a broke signal, and the universe receives that signal and sends back broke circumstances. Not as punishment, as reflection. It's just showing you your own broadcast. Most people are trying to change their circumstances directly. They're trying to make more money, get a better job, find a lucky break, hoping that when their external reality changes, they'll finally feel wealthy and secure. But that's backward. That's trying to change the reflection without changing what's creating it. You can rearrange a reflection in a mirror all day long and nothing will change because the reflection isn't the source. You are. Your frequency is. Your signal is. When you change your frequency first, when you shift from broadcasting broke to broadcasting wealthy, the circumstances have to change. They have no choice. The reflection always matches the source. Always. This is physics. This is how reality construction works at the quantum level. Your consciousness collapses probability waves into specific experiences based on what you're observing, expecting, assuming. When you observe yourself as broke, when you expect struggle, when you assume limitation, that's what collapses into your experience. When you observe yourself as wealthy, when you expect abundance, when you assume resources are always available, that collapses into your experience instead. The wealthy version of you that exists in a parallel timeline right now, they're not lucky. They're not more talented. They're not working harder. They're simply on a different frequency. They're broadcasting a different signal. They're occupying a different reality, and that reality includes wealth, because wealth is the natural byproduct of that frequency, just like poverty is the natural byproduct of the frequency you've been on. So how do you change frequencies? How do you stop broadcasting broke and start broadcasting wealthy? It's not through force. It's not through faking it. It's not through pretending you have money when you don't. It's through identity shift, through genuinely becoming the version of you that already has wealth. Not acting like them, not imitating them, becoming them, which means you have to know who they are. You have to understand how they think, how they feel, how they move through the world, how they make decisions, how they relate to money. Let me walk you through something. Close your eyes if you can do so safely. If you're driving or operating machinery, just listen and do this later. But if you can close your eyes, do it now. Take a breath and imagine there's a doorway in front of you. On the other side of this doorway is a parallel timeline. The timeline where you're already wealthy, where everything worked out, where you made all the right choices, where money flows easily and constantly. That version of you is there right now, living their life, and you're about to meet them. Take another breath and step through the doorway. Look around. What does this version of your life look like? What's different? Notice the space you're in. Notice how it feels. Notice the quality of light, the textures, the atmosphere. This is your wealthy reality. You're here now, and you're looking at yourself, the wealthy version. What are they wearing? How are they standing? What's their energy like? Notice their face, their expression. They're relaxed, confident. There's no tension around money, no anxiety, no fear, just ease. They see you, and they smile. They've been waiting for you. They step forward, and they want to tell you something important, something you need to hear. Listen, what are they saying? Just receive it. Don't analyze, don't question, just let their words land. They reach out and touch your heart, and as they do, you feel their frequency, their calm, their certainty, their ease. It transfers into you. You're merging, you're becoming one. You're remembering that you are them. You've always been them. You just forgot for a while. Breathe that in. Feel it settling into every cell. You are the wealthy version. Right now, in this moment, there's no separation anymore. Take one more deep breath. Thank them. Thank yourself. And when you're ready, open your eyes. That wasn't just imagination. That was contact. Real contact across timelines. And something shifted in you just now. Maybe subtle, maybe profound, but something changed. Some part of you remembered. Some part of you recognized the truth. You are that wealthy version. You've just been operating from a different frequency. And now you have access to their frequency, to their way of being, to their reality. And every time you choose to tune to that frequency, to be that version, to occupy that reality, you close the gap between this timeline and that one, until eventually they merge. Until eventually, what was parallel becomes primary. Until eventually, the wealthy reality is the only one you experience. Now, this isn't going to happen overnight. There's a lag between frequency shift and external evidence, and this is where most people lose faith. They start choosing the wealthy identity, they start broadcasting abundance, and for a while, nothing changes in their bank account, and they think it's not working. They think they're doing it wrong. They think it was all just fantasy, and they quit. They revert back to the broke frequency, and the cycle continues. But here's what's actually happening during that lag period. Your new frequency is reorganizing your reality. It's shifting probabilities. It's opening pathways. It's attracting opportunities. It's changing how people perceive you, how situations unfold around you, what becomes possible. But reality has momentum. The old timeline doesn't vanish instantly. It fades as the new one strengthens. And if you keep choosing the wealthy frequency consistently, persistently, without wavering, the external evidence will catch up. It has to, because the reflection always matches the source eventually. Think of it like turning a large ship. You turn the wheel, and for a while, the ship keeps going in the old direction. But if you keep the wheel turned, if you don't panic and spin it back because you don't see immediate results, eventually the ship responds. Eventually the direction changes. Your current financial reality is that ship. It has momentum. It's been going in the broke direction for a long time, but you just turned the wheel. You just chose a new frequency. And if you keep that wheel turned, if you keep choosing the wealthy identity, even when the bank account hasn't caught up yet, the ship will turn. The reality will shift. The evidence will appear. The question is, can you maintain the new frequency during the lag period? Can you keep being the wealthy version even when the broke version seems more real? Can you keep broadcasting abundance even when circumstances are still showing you scarcity? This is the test. This is where reality selection becomes real instead of just a nice idea. Because anyone can claim abundance when they have evidence. Anyone can feel wealthy when the bank account is full. But can you choose that frequency before the evidence arrives? Can you select that reality when this one still looks and feels broke? That's mastery. That's conscious reality creation. That's quantum selection. And here's what makes it possible. Let me tell you about another person. Let's call him Marcus. Marcus was a graphic designer, talented, hard-working, but always struggling financially. He charged too little for his work. He took on clients who paid late or tried to negotiate him down. He lived in constant anxiety about making rent, and he couldn't understand why. He was doing everything right. He was good at what he did, but the money just never came. When we started working together, I asked him one question. When you think about charging your full rate, what comes up? And he got quiet, really quiet. And then he said, I feel greedy, like I'm taking advantage, like I don't deserve that much. There it was, his prosperity lock, the internal mechanism that was auto-rejecting wealth. He could do all the marketing in the world, all the networking, all the hustle, but if he fundamentally believed charging his worth made him a bad person, he would unconsciously sabotage every opportunity to do so. We worked on that belief. Where did it come from? His mother. She used to say, we're not like those people, about anyone with money. She equated wealth with moral failure, and Marcus internalized it. He made an unconscious agreement. Stay poor, stay good. Have money, become bad. It was completely irrational, but it was running his financial life. Once he saw it, once he recognized how it was operating, he could challenge it. He could ask himself, is that actually true? Do I know good people with money? Do I know corrupt people without money? Is money itself the problem, or is it how people use it? And slowly he dismantled that old belief. He revoked the contract with poverty. He gave himself permission to charge his worth without feeling like a villain. Within 3 months, he doubled his rates, and the clients who wanted to pay those rates showed up. Not because he got better at his work. He was already good, but because he was finally broadcasting a frequency that said, I'm worth this. And people who valued that level of work could finally perceive him. They were there all along. He just wasn't tuned to the frequency where they existed. And the moment he shifted his frequency, they became visible, available, real. What's your prosperity lock? What internal mechanism is auto-rejecting wealth? Is it guilt? Is it shame? Is it fear of judgment? Is it unworthiness? Is it the belief that you'll lose yourself if you have money? That you'll become someone you don't want to be? That people will treat you differently? That you'll lose your authenticity, your values, your connections? These fears are prosperity locks. And until you identify them and dismantle them, you'll keep sabotaging your own wealth. Not consciously, not deliberately, but automatically. Because the lock is there to keep you safe from what you fear. And if you fear wealth on any level, the lock will keep it out. Here's the truth about money. It's neutral, completely neutral. It doesn't make you good or bad. It doesn't change who you fundamentally are. It just amplifies what's already there. If you're generous, money makes you more generous. If you're kind, money gives you more capacity for kindness. If you're creative, money gives you more resources for creativity. Money doesn't corrupt good people. It reveals what was already present. And if you're someone listening to this, someone actively working on becoming a better version of themselves, someone who cares about growth and consciousness and contribution, money in your hands is a good thing. Not just for you, for everyone around you. For everyone you'll be able to help, support, employ, fund, uplift with that money. You're not greedy for wanting wealth. You're not selfish for claiming abundance. You're not betraying your values by choosing the wealthy timeline. You're actually stepping into integrity, into alignment, into the reality that matches your worth. And your worth isn't conditional. It isn't something you earn through suffering. It isn't something you prove through struggle. It's inherent. You're worthy of wealth right now, exactly as you are, before you do anything different, before you become anyone different. Your worthiness is not in question. It never was. The only question is whether you'll claim it. This is the shift that has to happen in your identity. From I might be worthy if to I am worthy, period. From maybe I'll deserve wealth someday to I deserve wealth right now. From I have to earn the right to I already have the right. This isn't arrogance. This isn't entitlement. This is just truth. You are a conscious being in a responsive universe. You have the same fundamental worth as every other human. And if others can have wealth, so can you. If others can experience ease around money, so can you. If others can live in abundance, so can you. There's no special permission required. There's no cosmic committee deciding who gets to be rich. There's just frequency and choice, and you choosing to tune to the frequency of wealth instead of the frequency of lack. Now, let's talk about the language you use, because language isn't just communication, it's creation. Every word you speak is a declaration of identity, a vote for which reality you're choosing, a signal broadcast into the universe. And if you're speaking the language of poverty, you're choosing poverty. If you're speaking the language of wealth, you're choosing wealth. It's that direct, that immediate, listen to what you say about money. Actually pay attention. How often do you say, I can't afford that? How often do you call yourself broke? How often do you complain about bills, about expenses, about never having enough? Every single time you do this, you're signing a contract with poverty. You're declaring yourself to be someone without resources. And the universe hears that declaration and says, okay, you're someone without resources. Here's more situations where you won't have resources. Here's more evidence that you can't afford things. Here's more experiences of being broke. And the loop continues. Wealthy people don't speak this way. Not because they're pretending, because they genuinely occupy a different reality. When they see something they want, they don't say, I can't afford that. They say, how can I afford that? Or, I'm choosing not to buy that right now. Or, that's not a priority for me. The language is completely different. And the language creates a completely different emotional frequency. I can't afford that feels like limitation, powerlessness, lack. How can I afford that feels like possibility, agency, abundance. Same situation. Completely different reality being chosen through the words. Start listening to yourself. Start catching the poverty language. And every time you hear yourself speak limitation, pause. Choose different words, not fake words. Not words you don't believe, but words that come from the wealthy version of you. Words that assume resources are available. Words that assume you're capable. Words that assume money flows. At first this will feel forced, like you're lying, but you're not lying. You're choosing. You're selecting which version of you to be. And that version speaks differently. Here's a practice. For the next 7 days, eliminate the phrase I can't afford that from your vocabulary completely. Not because you suddenly have unlimited money, because that phrase is a frequency death sentence. It locks you into the broke timeline. When you hear yourself about to say it, stop. Say instead, I'm choosing not to buy that right now. Or that's not where I'm directing my resources. Or I'm prioritizing other things. Feel the difference? One is powerless. The other is empowered. One is scarcity. The other is choice. And that difference is everything. Do the same with I'm broke. Never call yourself broke again, even if your bank account is empty, even if you're in debt, even if you're struggling. Because broke isn't a fact. It's an identity. And when you claim that identity, you lock it in. Say instead, I'm in a temporary cash flow situation, or I'm in transition financially, or I'm building my wealth. Same circumstance, different identity, different frequency, different future. This might sound like semantics, like I'm just playing with words. But words create worlds, literally. The words you speak shape the reality you experience, because they shape your identity, and your identity shapes your choices, and your choices shape your circumstances. It's a direct line. Poverty language creates poverty. Identity creates poverty choices, creates poverty circumstances. Wealth language creates wealth identity, creates wealth choices, creates wealth circumstances. Change your language. You change everything. And it's not just what you say out loud. It's what you say in your head. The constant internal monologue. The running commentary about your finances. Listen to that voice. Is it encouraging or discouraging? Is it abundant or scarce? Is it confident or fearful? That voice is programming your reality. If it's constantly saying things like you'll never get ahead, you're so bad with money, why even try? Nothing ever works out. You're creating that reality. You're collapsing those probabilities. You're choosing that timeline. What if that voice said something different? What if it said, money comes to me easily. I'm always provided for. Everything works out for me. I'm wealthy in so many ways. Not as an affirmation you repeat mechanically, as a genuine reframe, a different perspective, a choice to focus on what's working instead of what's not, to notice abundance instead of lack, to speak to yourself the way the wealthy version of you speaks to themselves. That voice isn't mean. It isn't fearful. It's confident, assured, relaxed, because that version knows everything's going to be okay. They know resources are available. They know they're capable. And when you speak to yourself from that place, you become that version. Let me give you specific language swaps you can start using immediately. Instead of saying money is tight right now, say I'm reorganizing my resources. Instead of, I wish I could afford that, say I'm choosing to invest elsewhere at the moment. Instead of, I'm always broke, say I'm in the process of building wealth. Instead of bills are killing me, say I'm grateful I have services to pay for. Instead of I hate my job but I need the money, say I'm currently funding my next opportunity. Instead of rich people are lucky, say successful people make deliberate choices. Instead of I'll never have enough, say I'm always provided for exactly what I need. These shifts might feel small, trivial even, but they're not. They're frequency adjustments. They're reality votes. They're identity declarations. And when you make these shifts consistently, every single day, multiple times per day, you're training your nervous system to occupy the wealthy frequency. You're teaching your subconscious that you're someone with resources, someone with options, someone with abundance. And your subconscious doesn't argue. It just accepts whatever you tell it consistently. So tell it you're wealthy. Tell it money flows. Tell it everything works out. Tell it so many times in so many ways that it becomes your default programming. Now let's talk about your environment. Because your environment isn't just where you live. It's a constant vote for which reality you're choosing. Every object in your space, every texture, every color, every level of order or chaos, it's all sending a signal. And that signal is either voting for poverty or voting for wealth. Look around right now. What's your environment voting for? I'm not talking about having expensive things. I'm talking about how you treat what you have. Are your spaces clean and organized or cluttered and chaotic? Is your wallet worn and stuffed with random receipts or clean and orderly? Are your clothes taken care of or wrinkled and stained? Is your car, if you have one, maintained or neglected? These aren't superficial details. They're frequency indicators. They show you how you're relating to resources. And how you relate to resources determines what resources come to you. Wealthy people take care of things, not because they can afford to, but because they respect resources. They honor what they have. They create order. They maintain quality. And that respect and honor broadcasts a frequency that says, I value resources. I'm a good steward. Give me more. When you neglect things, when you treat your belongings carelessly, when you create chaos in your environment, you're broadcasting, I don't value resources. I can't be trusted with more. Keep it away from me. And the universe listens. Start with your wallet. Right now, today, clean out your wallet. Remove old receipts, expired cards, random pieces of paper. Organize what stays. If your wallet is falling apart, get a new one. Not an expensive one, just something clean and functional. Treat it with respect, because your wallet is where your money lives. And if money's home is chaotic and neglected, why would more money want to move in? Make it a place wealth wants to be. Clean, organized, ready. That's a vote for the wealthy timeline. Do the same with your living space. You don't need to redecorate. You don't need new furniture, but you do need order. Clean one area today. Just one. Your bedroom, your desk, your kitchen counter. Make it clean and clear and intentional. And notice how you feel in that space. Notice the shift in your energy. That's a frequency shift. From chaos to clarity. From neglect to care. From scarcity to abundance. And every time you're in that space, it's reminding you of your new frequency. It's voting for your new reality. Here's something else to try. Find one object in your space that represents wealth to you. It doesn't have to be valuable. It just has to feel abundant. Maybe it's a beautiful stone. Maybe it's a piece of art. Maybe it's a plant. Something that when you look at it, you feel a sense of richness. Put it somewhere you'll see it every day. Somewhere central. And let it be a physical anchor for your wealthy frequency. Every time you see it, let it remind you. I'm choosing wealth. I'm occupying the abundant reality. I'm the wealthy version. That physical reminder matters. It keeps you tuned in when your mind starts to drift back to the old frequency. And here's the thing about environment that most people miss. It's not about having abundance around you so you can feel wealthy. It's about creating an environment that reflects the wealthy version of you so you can become them. You're using your space to practice being that version. to embody that frequency, to live as if. And the more you do this, the more natural it becomes, until it's not practice anymore, until it's just who you are. The wealthy version of you doesn't live in chaos. They don't neglect their belongings. They don't tolerate broken things or cluttered spaces, not because they're uptight or materialistic, because they respect themselves and their environment, because they understand that how you do anything is how you do everything, and if you're careless with your space, you're probably careless with your money. If you're neglectful with your belongings, you're probably neglectful with your resources. The external is always reflecting the internal. Change your environment, you change your internal state. Change your internal state, you change your frequency. Change your frequency, you change your reality. I want to talk about something that might make you uncomfortable. Giving. Specifically, giving from a place of abundance even when you feel broke. This is one of the most powerful frequency shifters available. And it's one most people resist because it seems counterintuitive. You think, how can I give when I barely have enough? If I give now, I'll have even less. But that thinking is coming from the broke frequency. It's scarcity logic, and scarcity logic keeps you scarce. Abundance logic works differently. Abundance logic says, I give because I have more than enough. I give because I'm a conduit for wealth, not a reservoir hoarding it. I give because generosity is a frequency broadcast that says I'm wealthy. And when you broadcast, I'm wealthy through generous action, the universe reflects back wealthy circumstances. Not immediately, but inevitably. Because the reflection always matches the frequency. Now, I'm not saying give everything away. I'm not saying be financially irresponsible. I'm saying find small ways to practice generosity that feel like a stretch but not a sacrifice. Tip more than you think you can afford. Not so much that it causes real hardship, just enough that it feels slightly uncomfortable. That discomfort is the edge. That's where the frequency shift happens. Buy coffee for the person behind you in line. Donate to a cause you care about. Give a genuine compliment. Generosity isn't just about money. It's about energy. It's about broadcasting. I have more than enough to share. And that broadcast creates the reality where you do have more than enough to share. Here's what happens in your nervous system when you give from that place. You're proving to yourself that you're not in survival mode. You're demonstrating that you have resources. You're acting from abundance, and your nervous system registers that. It says, oh, we must be safe, we must have enough, we're giving it away. And it starts to relax. The scarcity clench loosens. The fear diminishes. The frequency shifts. And from that new frequency, you start making different choices, seeing different opportunities, taking different actions. And those different actions create different results. Results that match the abundant frequency you've been broadcasting through your generosity. The wealthy version of you is generous, not because they have so much money they don't know what to do with it, because generosity is part of their identity. It's how they relate to resources. They know money flows. They know there's always more. They know giving creates circulation, and circulation creates flow, and flow creates abundance. They're not clutching. They're not hoarding. They're not operating from fear that if they let go of anything, they won't get more. They're relaxed, open, trusting. And that relaxation and openness and trust is the frequency that attracts wealth. So practice this. This week, find 3 opportunities to be generous. 3 moments where you can give more than you think you should. More time, more attention, more money, more kindness. And notice what happens in your body when you do it. Notice if there's fear. Notice if there's resistance. Breathe through it and do it anyway. Because on the other side of that resistance is a frequency shift. On the other side of that fear is the abundant timeline. On the other side of that stretch is the wealthy version of you. Now we need to talk about the hardest part. The part that makes or breaks this entire process. Resistance. When you start choosing the wealthy timeline, when you start broadcasting the abundant frequency, reality is going to push back. Not because the universe doesn't want you to be rich, because your current reality has momentum, because your nervous system is wired for the familiar, because everyone around you expects you to be a certain way. And when you start changing, when you start becoming someone different, there's friction, there's discomfort, there's a storm period where everything feels harder before it gets easier. Most people hit this storm and quit. They think it's a sign they're doing something wrong. They think it means the process doesn't work. They think the resistance is evidence that they're not meant to be wealthy, and they retreat back to the broke timeline where at least things are predictable. But the resistance isn't evidence of failure. It's evidence of change. It's the old reality collapsing. About 3 weeks in, if you make it past the 3-day crash, you'll hit another wall. The 3-week plateau. This is where you've been doing everything right. You've been choosing the wealthy frequency consistently, and nothing has changed externally. Your bank account looks the same, your circumstances look the same, and you'll feel exhausted. You'll feel like giving up. This is the most dangerous point. This is where most people quit, because they think the lag should be over by now. They think evidence should have shown up. But 3 weeks isn't long enough to overcome years or decades of poverty frequency. The ship is turning, but it hasn't completed the turn yet. You're in the middle of the arc. And the middle is always the hardest part because you can't see the destination yet, but you're too far from the start to go back. Keep going. Trust the process. The evidence is coming. You're closer than you think. And then, about 3 months in, if you make it through the plateau, you'll hit the integration phase. This is where the new frequency starts to feel natural, where being the wealthy version doesn't take effort anymore, where abundance becomes your default, instead of something you have to consciously choose. And this is where external evidence starts to flood in. Not slowly, rapidly, because you've reached critical mass. The ship has turned. The new timeline is dominant. The wealthy reality is primary. And opportunities, money, resources, everything starts showing up in ways that feel almost magical, but are actually just the natural result of sustained frequency alignment. But you can't skip the storm. You can't avoid the resistance. You have to go through it. And the key to going through it is knowing it's coming, expecting it, not being surprised by it. When the doubt hits, you'll recognize it. Oh, this is the 3-day crash. This is my nervous system resisting change. This isn't truth. This is just turbulence. And you'll keep choosing the wealthy frequency anyway. When the plateau hits, you'll recognize it. Oh, this is the 3-week wall. This is where most people quit. But I'm not going to quit because I know what's on the other side. And you'll keep choosing the wealthy frequency anyway. The resistance is also going to show up externally. People around you are going to react to your change. Some will be supportive, but some, maybe people you're close to, are going to resist. They're going to try to pull you back to who you were. Not because they're bad people, because your change threatens their status quo. Because if you can change, it means they can change. And they're not ready. So they'll make comments. They'll subtly undermine. They'll remind you of past failures. They'll question what you're doing. And if you're not prepared for this, it will shake you. It will make you doubt yourself. It will tempt you to shrink back to who you were so they feel comfortable again. Don't do it. Keep choosing the wealthy timeline. Keep being the wealthy version. Not arrogantly, not aggressively, just quietly, consistently, persistently. Your change doesn't require their approval. Your wealth doesn't require their permission. You're not doing this for them. You're doing it for you. And the people who are meant to be in your wealthy reality will adjust and come with you. The people who can't will fall away, and that's okay. That's part of the process. You're not losing relationships. You're shedding frequencies that no longer match yours. You're making space for connections that align with who you're becoming. Here's a question for you. What would you be willing to lose to gain wealth? Not material things, identity things. The identity of being the struggling one, the identity of being relatable through lack, the identity of being humble through limitation, the identity of being the underdog. These identities might feel comfortable, familiar, safe, but they're also keeping you broke. And at some point you have to decide, do I want to keep this identity or do I want wealth? Because you can't have both. The wealthy version of you doesn't identify as struggling, doesn't bond with people through shared lack, doesn't prove humility through voluntary poverty. The wealthy version has a different identity, and to become them, you have to release the old one. This is grief work. You're grieving the death of your broke self. And grief is necessary. Let yourself feel it. Let yourself acknowledge what you're letting go of. The stories, the excuses, the familiar patterns, the secondary gains of struggle. Yes, there are secondary gains. Being broke gives you something. Maybe it gives you an excuse for why you haven't achieved what you wanted. Maybe it gives you sympathy. Maybe it gives you a reason to play small so you don't have to face your full potential. These are hard things to admit, but they're true. And until you acknowledge them, They'll keep running in the background, sabotaging your wealth. So ask yourself, what am I getting from being broke? What does poverty give me that I'm afraid to lose? What role does struggle play in my identity? What would I have to face if money wasn't the problem anymore? These are uncomfortable questions, but they're important because the answers reveal the invisible contracts, the hidden agreements, the unconscious loyalties that are keeping you locked in the broke timeline. And once you see them, you can choose differently. You can say, okay, I see what I've been getting from this, and I'm choosing to get those needs met in different ways. I'm releasing this pattern. I'm stepping into the wealthy identity fully. No more hedging, no more backup plans, no more one foot in poverty just in case wealth doesn't work out. I'm all in. This is the moment everything shifts. When you go all in on the wealthy timeline, when you stop keeping poverty as a safety net, when you burn the bridge back to the broke reality and commit fully to the abundant one, not recklessly, not foolishly, but completely, internally, in your identity, in your frequency, in your moment-to-moment choices. This is when the universe takes you seriously. This is when resources start flooding in, because you're finally broadcasting an unambiguous signal. You're finally on one frequency instead of wavering between two, and clarity creates results, always. Let me give you the most important practice now. This is the practice that changed everything for the person I mentioned earlier. The one who went from struggling to $847,000 in 11 months. It's simple. It takes 90 seconds, and it's designed to be done every evening before bed. Because what you program into your subconscious before sleep gets processed and integrated overnight. It becomes part of your default operating system, and when done consistently, this practice rewires your entire relationship with money. Here's how it works. Every evening, right before you go to sleep, sit on the edge of your bed, take 3 deep breaths, and then do 4 things. First, acknowledge something from today that didn't go perfectly. Maybe you had a moment of doubt. Maybe you spoke scarcity language. Maybe you felt the old fear. Don't judge it. Just acknowledge it. Say it out loud or in your mind. Today I doubted. Today I felt scared. Today I spoke limitation. Just name it. This prevents the day's setbacks from contaminating your frequency overnight. It keeps yesterday's struggles in yesterday. It completes the cycle so you don't carry it forward. Second, identify one moment from today where you chose the wealthy frequency. Even if it was small, even if it was brief, maybe you noticed the doubt and chose a different thought. Maybe you caught the scarcity language and changed your words. Maybe you felt the fear and breathed through it anyway. Find one moment where you were the wealthy version and acknowledge it, celebrate it. Let it land. Today I chose wealth when I said this. Today I was abundant when I did that. Today I was the wealthy version in this moment. This anchors the new frequency. This tells your subconscious, we're moving in this direction, do more of this. Third, state one thing you're grateful for financially. Something you have, something that worked, something you received. It doesn't have to be big. It can be, I'm grateful I had food today. I'm grateful my car started. I'm grateful someone bought me coffee. The amount doesn't matter. The frequency does. Gratitude is an abundance broadcast. It says I have enough to be thankful for. And that broadcast attracts more to be thankful for. Find one thing. Feel genuine appreciation for it. Let that feeling fill your chest. And fourth, make one declaration about tomorrow. Not a wish. Not a hope. Not a maybe. A done deal. A statement of what's already true in the timeline you're choosing. Tomorrow I am wealthy. Tomorrow money flows to me. Tomorrow I make decisions from abundance. Tomorrow I'm the version of me that already has everything I want. Say it with certainty, with finality, with the calm confidence of someone stating an obvious fact. Because in the timeline you're choosing, it is a fact. You're not trying to make it true. You're acknowledging that it already is true. You're just choosing to occupy that reality. Say it, feel it. Let it be the last thing you think before you sleep. That's it. 4 steps, 90 seconds, every single night. No exceptions. Don't skip it when you're tired. Don't skip it when you don't feel like it. Don't skip it when it seems pointless. Do it anyway. This consistency is what creates the shift. This nightly practice is what keeps you tuned to the wealthy frequency, even when circumstances haven't caught up yet. This is what carries you through the storm. This is what makes the integration permanent. The person who did this, who committed to this simple practice, had tried everything else, all the money books, all the strategies, all the mindset work, and nothing had. Now let me give you a day-by-day framework for the first 30 days, because the first 30 days are crucial. This is when you're establishing new neural pathways. This is when you're overriding decades of conditioning. This is when the resistance will be strongest, but it's also when the transformation begins. So here's exactly what to do. Day 1. Today is about awareness. Your only job today is to notice how many times you speak poverty language. Don't try to change it yet. Just count. Every time you say, I can't afford that, or I'm broke, or any variation of scarcity language, make a mental note. By the end of the day, you'll have a number. That number is your baseline. That's how many times per day you've been voting for the broke timeline. Write it down. You're going to watch that number drop over the next month. Day 2. Today you start the language swap. Every time you catch yourself about to say poverty language, pause. Take one breath and choose different words. Use the swaps I gave you earlier. This will feel unnatural. Do it anyway. Your goal today is to reduce yesterday's number by at least 3 instances. Just 3. That's all. 3 times today where you chose abundant language instead of scarcity language. Track it. Celebrate it. This is your first frequency shift. Day 3. This is when the doubt hits. The 3-day crash. You're going to wake up today and everything I've told you is going to seem ridiculous. You're going to feel foolish. You're going to want to quit. Don't. This is your nervous system resisting change. It's predictable. It's normal. It's not truth. Your only job today is to keep going anyway. Do the language swap. Do the evening practice tonight. Push through. Tomorrow will be easier. Day 4. Today you're going to clean your wallet. Take everything out. Throw away old receipts. Organize what stays. If it's falling apart, order a new one today. As you're organizing, hold each bill with respect. Don't crumple money. Don't shove it in carelessly. Treat it like it matters. Because it does. This physical act is a frequency broadcast. You're telling the universe you respect resources. You're worthy of more. Notice how you feel after. Notice the subtle shift. Day 5. Today is about environment. Choose one space in your home. Just one. Your bedroom, your desk, your kitchen counter doesn't matter. Clean it completely. Make it spotless. Make it intentional. Make it beautiful with what you have. As you clean, you're not just organizing objects. You're clearing frequency. You're making space for the new reality. When you're done, stand in that space. Breathe. Feel the difference. This is what the wealthy timeline feels like. Remember it. Day 6. Today you're going to practice generosity. Find one opportunity to give more than you think you can afford. Tip an extra $5. Buy someone's coffee. Donate $10 to a cause. Make it feel like a slight stretch. Notice the fear when you do it. Notice the resistance. Breathe through it and give anyway. After you do, pay attention to your body. Notice if something shifts. That shift is your nervous system recalibrating to abundance. Day 7. First week complete. Today is reflection. Sit down with a journal or a notes app. Write down what you've noticed this week. What's been hard? What's been surprising? Where did you feel resistance? Where did you feel possibility? Don't judge any of it. Just observe. You're gathering data. You're learning your patterns. This awareness is power. It's how you'll navigate the next 3 weeks. Day 8 through 14. This is the consistency phase. Every single day you're doing 3 things. The language swap, the evening practice, and 1 environmental improvement. Maybe you organize a drawer. Maybe you fix something that's broken. Maybe you buy fresh flowers. Small acts, daily, consistent. You're building momentum. You're establishing new patterns. Some days will feel good. Some days will feel pointless. Do it anyway. The frequency shift is happening whether you feel it or not. Day 15. Midpoint check-in. By now, the language swap should be getting easier. You're catching yourself faster. The poverty language is decreasing. Count again today. How many times did you speak scarcity? Compare it to day 1. I guarantee it's lower. Probably much lower. This is proof. This is evidence that you're changing. Let yourself feel proud of that. You're doing something most people never do. You're consciously choosing a different reality. Day 16 through 20. This is the doubt phase again. It's going to creep back in. You've been doing everything right for over 2 weeks, and your bank account probably looks the same. You're going to feel frustrated, impatient, questioning. This is normal. This is the 3-week plateau starting to show itself. Your job is to remember the ship analogy. The wheel is turned, the ship is turning. You just can't see it yet because you're on the ship. Trust the process. Keep going. Do not quit now. Day 21. 3 weeks exactly. Today is critical. This is where most people abandon the process. They decide it's not working. They revert to the broke frequency. You're not going to do that. Today, you're going to do something radical. You're going to make one decision from the wealthy timeline that you've been putting off. Maybe it's setting a boundary around your time. Maybe it's saying no to something that doesn't serve you. Maybe it's investing in yourself in some way. Whatever it is, do it today. Act as if you're already the wealthy version. Make the choice they would make. This breaks the plateau. This proves to your nervous system that you're serious. Day 22 through 28. You're in new territory now. The first 3 weeks were about establishing the practice. The next week is about deepening it. Every morning this week, before you get out of bed, take 2 minutes. Close your eyes. Feel into the wealthy version of you. How do they feel in their body? Relaxed, confident, expansive? Find that feeling. Breathe it in. Let it fill you. Then get up and carry that feeling through your day. When you notice it fading, pause. Find it again. You're training your nervous system to maintain the wealthy frequency longer and longer. Day 29. Almost there. Today you're going to do the visualization exercise again. The doorway, the parallel timeline, meeting your wealthy self. But this time, ask them a specific question. What's one thing I'm still doing that's keeping me in the broke timeline? Listen for the answer. Don't force it. Just receive. Whatever comes up, that's your next area of work. That's what you're going to focus on in month 2. Write it down, honor it. This is guidance from the version of you who's already made it. Day 30. Full month complete. Sit down today and take inventory. What's different? Don't just look at your bank account. Look at everything. How do you feel about money? How do you talk about it? How do you carry yourself? What opportunities have shown up, even if you haven't acted on them yet? What feels possible now that didn't feel possible 30 days ago? Write all of it down. This is your evidence. This is proof that frequency creates reality. And you've been shifting your frequency for 30 days straight. Something has changed. Something is changing. Something will continue to change. You're not done. You're just getting started. Let me tell you about another person. Let's call her Diana. Diana was a teacher. She loved her work, but the pay was terrible. She'd been telling herself for years that she chose teaching because she cared about kids, not money. And that was true. But underneath that noble story was a belief. The belief that you can't do meaningful work and make good money. That you have to choose between purpose and prosperity. She didn't realize this belief was running her life until she started doing this work. When she did the contract excavation, when she looked at her unconscious agreements, she found it. The belief that wealth and purpose are incompatible, that making good money means selling out, that if you're rich, you must have compromised your values somehow. This belief came from her parents, both of whom were social workers who spoke constantly about greedy corporations and corrupt wealthy people. They were good people. They did important work, but they also struggled financially their entire lives. And Diana inherited their frequency, their reality, their contract with poverty in the name of virtue. Once she saw it, everything clicked. She realized she'd been unconsciously keeping herself poor to stay aligned with her values, to prove she was one of the good ones, to maintain her identity as someone who cared about more than money. But that alignment was false, because staying poor wasn't actually serving anyone. It wasn't helping her students. It wasn't changing the education system. It was just keeping her stressed and limited and unable to do the things she wanted to do in the world. She saw that wealth and purpose aren't opposites. They're partners. And the more money she had, the more good she could do. The more students she could support. The more programs she could fund. The more freedom she'd have to create real change. She revoked the contract. She said out loud, "I can be wealthy and purposeful. I can make money and make a difference. Having resources makes me more effective, not less." And she started choosing the wealthy timeline. She started doing the evening practice. She started speaking abundant language. She started treating her environment with respect. And within 4 months, she got an offer to consult for an educational nonprofit, doing work she loved, work that aligned perfectly with her values. For 3 times her teaching salary. She didn't have to leave teaching. She didn't have to compromise her purpose. She just had to stop believing that poverty was part of the package. What false choice are you making? What belief are you carrying that says you can't have both? That you can't have wealth and integrity, or wealth and authenticity, or wealth and spirituality, or wealth and humility? These false choices are prosperity locks. They keep you poor in the name of something you value. But the truth is, you don't have to choose. You can have both. You can have all of it. Wealth doesn't diminish your values. It amplifies them. It gives you more capacity to live them fully. Now let's talk about what happens after day 30. Because 30 days is just the beginning. 30 days establishes the foundation. But the real transformation happens in months 2 and 3. This is when the external evidence starts showing up. This is when the bank account starts shifting. This is when opportunities appear that match your new frequency. But this is also when the deepest resistance surfaces. Because now it's getting real. Now your life is actually changing. And change, even good change, even wanted change, triggers the nervous system. Month 2 is about embodiment. You've been practicing the wealthy frequency. Now you're going to live it. Every decision you make this month, you're going to ask yourself one question before you make it. What would the wealthy version of me choose here? Not the version who's trying to become wealthy, the version who already is wealthy. What would they do in this situation? How would they respond to this opportunity? What choice would they make? And then you're going to make that choice, even if it scares you, even if it feels like too much, even if you're not sure you're ready. You're going to act from the reality you're choosing, not the reality you're leaving. This is where people get tripped up. They keep making decisions from their current circumstances instead of from their chosen identity. Someone offers them an opportunity and they think, "I can't afford that," instead of thinking, "The wealthy version of me would invest in this." They stay in situations that drain them because they're afraid of the unknown instead of asking, "Would the wealthy version of me tolerate this?" They say yes to things that don't align because they need the money, instead of recognizing, the wealthy version of me has the luxury of being selective. Every time you make a decision from the broke frequency, you're voting for the broke timeline. Every time you make a decision from the wealthy frequency, you're voting for the wealthy timeline. And in month 2, your job is to make every decision from the wealthy frequency. All of them, no exceptions. Let me give you specific scenarios and how to navigate them from the wealthy frequency. Scenario 1. Someone asks you to do work for less than you're worth. The broke frequency says, "I need the money, I should take it, something is better than nothing." The wealthy frequency says, "I respect my value too much to undercharge. The right clients who can pay my worth will show up. I'm choosing to wait for the aligned opportunity." That's a completely different choice. A completely different reality being selected. And when you make that choice from the wealthy frequency, the aligned opportunity does show up. Because you're no longer cluttering your time and energy with misaligned work. You're creating space for what actually matches your frequency. Scenario 2. You want to invest in something that would help you grow, but it feels expensive. The broke frequency says, "I can't afford that. Maybe when I have more money, I'll wait until I'm more secure." The wealthy frequency says, "Wealthy people invest in themselves first. This is how I create more value. Money flows to me so I can make investments like this." And you do it. Not recklessly. Not if it would create genuine hardship. But if it's an edge, if it's a stretch, you do it anyway. Because the wealthy version isn't waiting for permission. They're not waiting to feel ready. They're investing now because they know that's how wealth is built. Through strategic investments in growth. Scenario 3. Someone in your life is trying to pull you back to the old reality. They're making comments about your changes. They're questioning your decisions. They're reminding you of past failures. The broke frequency says, maybe they're right. Maybe I am being unrealistic. Maybe I should stay where I am. At least it's safe. The wealthy frequency says, their fear is not my truth. I'm choosing my reality regardless of their comfort. I love them, and I'm moving forward anyway. You set a boundary, kindly but firmly. You don't explain yourself. You don't defend your choices. You just keep choosing the wealthy timeline, and you let them deal with their own discomfort about your change. Scenario 4. You're offered two options. One is safe, familiar, known. The other is expansive, challenging, unknown. The broke frequency says, take the safe option, don't risk it. You can't afford to fail. The wealthy frequency says, growth lives in the unknown. Wealthy people take calculated risks. I trust myself to handle whatever unfolds. You choose expansion. You choose the option that aligns with who you're becoming, not who you've been. And yes, it might be scary. Yes, it might be uncomfortable. But that discomfort is the frequency shift happening in real time. That's the old reality dissolving and the new one forming. Lean into it. Month 2 is also when you're going to start seeing synchronicities, strange coincidences, unexpected opportunities, people reaching out with exactly what you need at exactly the right time. These aren't accidents. These are probability shifts. This is the universe reflecting your new frequency back to you. When these things happen, don't dismiss them. Don't chalk them up to luck or coincidence. Recognize them for what they are. Evidence. Proof that you're on the wealthy timeline now. Proof that the reality is shifting. And when you recognize them, when you acknowledge them with gratitude, you amplify the frequency. You signal to the universe, yes, more of this. I'm receiving. Keep it coming. Keep doing the evening practice every single night. Keep catching the poverty language. Keep treating your environment with respect. Keep practicing generosity. But now you're also making every decision from the wealthy identity. You're acting as if, not pretending, actually being. Because you're not faking it until you make it. You're choosing which version of you to be. And you're choosing the wealthy version. In every moment, in every decision, in every response. This is the month where the identity shift becomes real. Where it stops being practice and starts being who you are. Month 3 is integration. This is when the wealthy frequency becomes your default. This is when you stop having to think about it. You just are it. The language shift is automatic. The decision-making is natural. The frequency is constant. You're not catching yourself and correcting anymore. You're just operating from abundance as your baseline. And this is when the external world catches up completely. This is when the money shows up, when the opportunities flood in, when the resources appear, because you've been broadcasting the wealthy frequency consistently for 90 days straight. You've overridden decades of conditioning. You've established new neural pathways. You've trained your nervous system to expect abundance. And now the reflection has no choice but to match. But here's what you need to know about month 3. It can be overwhelming. Because suddenly things are moving fast, doors are opening, money is coming in, opportunities are appearing. And if you're not prepared for it, you can actually reject it. You can unconsciously sabotage it, not because you don't want it, because it's unfamiliar, because your nervous system still has that old program running that says this much good isn't safe, this much ease isn't normal, this much abundance means something's about to go wrong. You have to actively counteract that program. You have to consciously choose to receive, to let it be this good, to allow this much flow. Here's how you do that. Every time something good happens in month 3, every time money comes in, or an opportunity appears or something works out, you pause. You put your hand on your heart, and you say, I'm safe to receive this. It's safe for things to be this good. I'm worthy of this abundance. This is my new normal. You say it out loud if you can. You feel it in your body. You let it land, because you're teaching your nervous system that this is the new baseline. This is the new set point. This level of ease and flow and abundance is what we expect now. This is who we are now. And the more you do this, the more you can receive without contracting. The more the wealth can actually land and stay, instead of coming in and immediately flowing back out because you couldn't hold it. Month 3 is also when you'll face the worthiness question head on. Because now you have evidence. Now the money is actually there. Now the opportunities are actually showing up. And a part of you is going to ask, do I really deserve this? Did I do enough to earn this? Is this really mine to have? And you need to answer that question clearly and definitively. Yes. Yes, you deserve this. When you notice these signals, don't panic. Don't judge yourself. Don't think you've ruined everything. Just pause. Acknowledge what's happening. Oh, I'm in the broke frequency right now. I'm choosing scarcity. I'm voting for the old timeline. Just name it. That awareness alone starts to shift it. And then do the reset protocol. Here's the protocol. First, take 3 deep breaths. Full inhale. Full exhale. You're resetting your nervous system, bringing yourself back to the present moment, out of the fear spiral. Second, put your hand on your heart and say out loud, I'm choosing the wealthy timeline. I'm the version of me that already has everything I need. I'm safe. I'm provided for. Money flows to me easily. Third, identify one action you can take right now that aligns with the wealthy frequency. Maybe it's cleaning your wallet. Maybe it's correcting a scarcity phrase you just spoke. Maybe it's making a different decision. Whatever it is, do it immediately. This breaks the pattern. This proves to your nervous system that you're back in conscious control. And fourth, commit to the evening practice tonight, even if you've been skipping it, especially if you've been skipping it, because the evening practice is your anchor. It's what keeps you tethered to the wealthy timeline. Do it tonight. Get back on track. Most relapses happen during stress, during unexpected challenges, during moments when the old fear gets triggered. You lose a client, an expense comes up, something breaks, and suddenly all the old programming floods back. You're in survival mode. You're in scarcity. You're in panic. This is when you need the reset protocol most. This is when you need to consciously choose the wealthy frequency, even though every cell in your body is screaming otherwise. Because how you respond in these moments determines whether you stay on the wealthy timeline or slip back to the broke one. The broke response is panic, contraction, fear. Oh no, I don't have enough. This is it. I'm going to lose everything. The wealthy response is, this is a temporary situation. I have resources. I'll figure this out. Money always comes to me when I need it. This is just a wave, not the whole ocean. Same circumstance, completely different frequency, completely different outcome. I want to give you micro challenges now. Daily practices beyond the evening ritual that will accelerate your frequency shift. These are small, specific actions you can take every single day that train your nervous system to occupy the wealthy frequency more consistently. Challenge 1. The pause practice. 5 times today, when you're about to make any decision related to money, pause for 3 seconds before you act. In those 3 seconds, ask yourself, is this coming from scarcity or abundance? Am I choosing from fear or faith? Just asking the question shifts your awareness, shifts your frequency, and often changes the choice you make. Do this 5 times minimum, more if you can. This practice alone will transform your relationship with money because it interrupts the automatic patterns and creates space for conscious choice. Challenge 2. The gratitude multiplication. You're already doing gratitude in your evening practice. Now multiply it throughout the day. Every time you spend money, even on bills, even on things you don't want to pay for, find one thing to be grateful for about that transaction. Paying rent? I'm grateful for shelter. Paying your phone bill? I'm grateful I can connect with people I love. Buying groceries? I'm grateful I have access to food. This transforms spending from a depletion frequency to an abundance frequency. You're not losing money, you're exchanging it for value. And when you acknowledge the value with gratitude, you maintain the abundant frequency even during outflow. This is crucial because if you only feel abundant when money comes in and scarce when money goes out, you're on a frequency roller coaster. You need to stay abundant in both directions. This practice trains that. Challenge 3. The Wealthy Self Interview. Once per week, sit down with a journal and ask your wealthy parallel self 3 questions. What decision am I avoiding that you already made? What belief am I still holding that you released? What would you tell me right now that I need to hear? Write the questions, then sit quietly and let the answers come. Don't force them. Don't make them up. Just receive. The answers will come from a deeper place, from the part of you that already knows. That already is the wealthy version. Trust what comes through. Act on it. This keeps you connected to that parallel timeline, keeps you aligned with that frequency, keeps you moving toward that reality. Challenge 4. The Abundance Evidence Log. Every single day, write down 3 pieces of evidence that you're on the wealthy timeline. They can be tiny. They can be subtle. A compliment someone gave you about your work. A synchronicity. A moment where you made a decision from abundance. An unexpected refund. A friend buying you coffee. Anything that shows you the universe is responding to your new frequency. You're training your brain to look for evidence of abundance instead of evidence of lack. And whatever you look for, you'll find. Look for abundance, you'll see it everywhere. Look for scarcity, you'll see that instead. The evidence log trains your perception, shifts your filter, changes what you see, and what you see determines what you experience. Challenge 5. The Generosity Game. Once per week, give something to someone who doesn't expect it and will never know it came from you. Anonymously pay for someone's coffee. Leave a big tip with a note. Send a gift card to someone who needs it. The anonymity is important because when you give without recognition, you're doing it purely from abundance. Purely from the frequency of I have more than enough to share. There's no ego in it. No expectation of gratitude or reciprocity. Just pure generosity. And that pure generosity is one of the highest abundance frequencies you can broadcast. It tells the universe unambiguously, I am wealthy, I am overflowing, I am a conduit for resources, and the universe responds accordingly. Challenge 6. The frequency check-in. 3 times per day, set an alarm on your phone. Morning, midday, evening. When the alarm goes off, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, stop. Close your eyes if you can, and ask yourself, what frequency am I on right now? Am I in scarcity or abundance? Am I contracted or expansive? Am I fearful or trusting? Just notice. Don't judge. And if you're on the scarcity frequency, take one breath and consciously shift to abundance. Feel what that shift feels like in your body. This practice builds your frequency awareness, makes you conscious of what you're broadcasting moment to moment, and consciousness creates choice. When you're aware of your frequency, you can change it. When you're unconscious, you're just running on default programming. Now let's talk about what to do when you hit a major setback. Because you will. Everyone does. The car breaks down, you lose a client, an unexpected expense appears, your hours get cut. Something happens that feels like evidence that you're still on the broke timeline, that all this work was for nothing, that you're back where you started. This is the moment that tests everything. This is when you find out if the frequency shift is real or if it was just a temporary high. And here's what you need to know. Setbacks don't mean you're on the wrong timeline. They mean you're being tested. Your commitment is being measured. Your frequency is being challenged. And how you respond determines whether you pass the test or fail it. The broke frequency response to a setback is collapse. It's, see, I knew this wouldn't work. I knew I wasn't meant to be wealthy. This is just my reality. I should stop trying. That response immediately drops you back to the broke timeline. It's a vote for scarcity. It's a declaration that poverty is stronger than your choice, that circumstances override consciousness. And when you respond that way, you're right, you will stay broke. Not because it's your destiny, because you chose it in that moment. You let the setback define your reality instead of recognizing it as a temporary circumstance. The wealthy frequency response to a setback is completely different. This is interesting. This is a test. This is where I prove to myself that I'm really on the wealthy timeline now. Because the wealthy version doesn't crumble when challenges appear. They stay calm. They trust. They know money always comes. They know they're resourceful. They know this is temporary. So I'm going to respond the way they would respond. I'm going to stay on the wealthy frequency, even though circumstances are tempting me to choose scarcity. I'm going to solve this problem from abundance instead of from fear. And then you do. You take a breath. You get creative. You ask for help. You find a solution. You handle it like the wealthy version would handle it, with calm, with confidence, with the certainty that this is just a wave, not the ocean. And here's what happens when you respond that way. The setback resolves faster, the solution appears more easily, and you come out of it stronger, more anchored in the wealthy frequency, because you prove to yourself that you can maintain that frequency even under pressure, even when challenged, even when circumstances are saying otherwise. That proof is invaluable. It solidifies the frequency shift. It makes it unshakable. This is why setbacks aren't failures. They're opportunities. Opportunities to demonstrate your commitment. Opportunities to prove your frequency is a choice, not a reaction. Opportunities to anchor the wealthy timeline so deeply that nothing can pull you back to the broke one. Let me tell you about one more person. Let's call him James. James was a software developer. He made decent money. Let's talk about the 90-day mark. This is when you'll know if the transformation is permanent or if it was temporary. This is when you'll know if you've really shifted timelines or if you just had a good 3 months. Because at 90 days, one of two things happens. Either the wealthy frequency has become your new default, your new baseline, your new normal, or the old patterns start creeping back in and you slowly drift back to the broke frequency without realizing it. The difference between these two outcomes is simple. Integration. Did you integrate the new frequency into your identity, or did you just practice it as a technique? Did you become the wealthy version, or did you just act like them for a while? Identity level shifts are permanent. Behavior level changes are temporary. Here's how you ensure you're integrating at the identity level. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who's trying to become wealthy. You start thinking of yourself as someone who is wealthy. Period. Not will be, not hoping to be, is right now, in this moment, regardless of what the bank account says, because wealth isn't a number. It's a frequency. It's a way of being. It's how you relate to resources, to yourself, to possibility, to life. And you've been practicing that frequency for 90 days. It's not practice anymore. It's who you are. When you fully claim that identity, when you stop hedging with "I'm working on becoming wealthy" and just say "I am wealthy," that's when the shift is permanent. That's when you can't go back. Because you're not the person you were 90 days ago. You're someone different. Someone who operates from abundance. Someone who expects wealth. Someone who knows money is always available. That's your new identity. Claim it fully. At the 90-day mark, do a ritual. Mark the completion. Honor the transformation. Take yourself out for a nice meal. Buy yourself something meaningful. Write yourself a letter from the future thanking you for making this shift. Do something that acknowledges this isn't just another day. This is the day you completed the timeline jump. This is the day the wealthy version became your primary reality. Treat it with significance. Because it is significant. Most people will live their entire lives on the broke timeline, never knowing they had a choice. You made a different choice. You chose wealth. You chose abundance. You chose the timeline where you already have everything you want. And you stayed with that choice for 90 days straight through doubt, through resistance, through setbacks, through fear. That deserves recognition. And that deserves celebration. Give that to yourself, and then keep going. Because the 90 days aren't the finish line. They're the foundation. Everything you've built over the last 3 months is just the beginning. Now you get to live from this frequency. Now you get to experience what happens when wealth is your baseline. Now you get to watch your life reorganize itself completely to match who you've become. And it will. Give it time. Give it space. Keep doing the evening practice. Keep catching the poverty language. Keep making decisions from abundance. Keep treating your environment with respect. Keep practicing generosity. Keep being the wealthy version. Not as a practice, as your identity, as your truth, as your reality. The money will come. It's already coming. It's already on its way to you. Because you've been broadcasting the wealthy frequency for 90 days straight. You've shifted timelines. You've chosen a different reality. And that reality includes wealth, includes abundance, includes ease and flow and resources and opportunities. It includes everything you've been wanting. Not because you earned it through suffering, not because you finally got lucky, because you chose it, because you tuned to that frequency, because you became the version of you that already has it. And now the external world is catching up. It has to. Because the reflection always matches the source. And you are the source. You are the broadcaster. You are the chooser of realities. You came here thinking this was about making money, and it is. But it's about so much more than that. It's about recognizing your power, your ability to shape reality through consciousness, your capacity to choose which version of yourself to be, your freedom to occupy any timeline you want. This isn't just about wealth. This is about waking up to who you actually are. A conscious creator in a responsive universe. Someone who doesn't have to accept circumstances as fixed. Someone who can choose differently. Someone who can tune to a different frequency and experience a completely different reality. Money is just the testing ground, just the place where you practice this skill. Because money is measurable. It's concrete. It's easy to track whether the shift is working or not. But once you master timeline selection with money, once you prove to yourself that you can choose the wealthy reality and have it become your experience, you can apply this to anything. Relationships, health, career, creativity, happiness, purpose. All of it works the same way. All of it is frequency-based. All of it is reality selection. All of it is choosing which version of you to be and watching the external world shift to match. So yes, you're here for wealth. You're here to shift from broke to abundant. You're here to choose the timeline where money flows easily and constantly. And that's going to happen. It's already happening. But you're also here for something bigger. You're here to remember your power, to reclaim your agency, to recognize that you're not a victim of circumstance. You're a creator of experience. And that changes everything. Not just your bank account, your entire life, your entire sense of self, your entire relationship with reality. This is what's available to you. Right now, not someday, not after you do more work, not when you're finally ready. Now, today, this moment, you're already rich in another reality. That version is here, waiting, available. All you have to do is choose. Choose to tune to their frequency. Choose to speak their language. Choose to honor your environment. Choose to practice generosity. Choose to push through resistance. Choose to do the evening practice. Choose to be them. Not tomorrow, now, right now. As you hear these words, make the choice. I am the wealthy version. I occupy the abundant timeline. Money flows to me easily and constantly. I am provided for. I am safe. I am wealthy. Say it. Feel it. Breathe it. Become it. And as you do, watch your reality shift. Watch opportunities appear. Watch resources flow. Watch circumstances rearrange themselves to match your new frequency. It won't happen overnight, but it will happen. It has to, because the reflection always matches the source. And you are the source. You are the broadcaster. You are the chooser. And you just chose wealth. You just selected abundance. You just stepped into the timeline where you already have everything you want. Welcome home. Welcome to the Money Multiverse. Welcome to the reality where you were always rich. You just had to remember, and now you have. Everything changes from here. Everything is changing right now. Everything will continue to change as long as you keep choosing, as long as you keep tuning to the wealthy frequency, as long as you keep being the version who already has it all. This is your reality now. This is who you are now. This is the timeline you occupy now. The wealthy one, the abundant one. The one where money flows and life works and everything you need comes to you at the perfect time. This is your new normal. This is your new baseline. This is your new truth. Claim it, embody it, live it, and watch as the entire universe reorganizes itself to prove you right.